How much do you know about Elf on a Shelf?
Yeah, I know. It's like the thing that you do for kids, and
Yeah,
like
I don't like fully understand it because it came about after my time as a child for sure, right?
right.
And I just find it creepy. Every time I look at it, I hate it. I have like a lot of cousins that have a lot of kids and things, and I interact with them a lot, and they're always like, oh my God, the elf moved. And I'm like, that elf looks like it's gonna kill somebody. I don't like it. I don't like the way it looks.
Have you seen like the videos and stuff where like parents get like really creative?
Yo, yeah.
And, like do like the flower footprints and stuff.
Yeah, no, they go in. I think it's really nice because you can make it really fun for the kid. But I've also seen some where they're like, I'm going to traumatize my kid. And then they go and they make like a horror scene.
Actually, it does look really terrifying.
Yeah. I think if it's like an older kid, you
amazing.
can do that though. You know, like they know it's not real. So you just do like a whole thing. I think it's fun.
It's like traumatizing little kids about being on the naughty list, you know? It's just like a different,
Yeah.
a different level.
I like that. You need to put the fear of God in them sometimes, right?
Yeah,
and
exactly. You gotta
sometimes
be good.
yeah, you're like, Santa won't like you. And then they're like, oh, I'm going to be good when no one's looking now. Santa's always watching. I never had the experience of growing up thinking Santa was real because I knew the moment Santa existed in my mind that he wasn't real.
Right.
I never had that. And I always wonder, like, would that have changed me? Is that formative for kids?
You know, I had a younger sibling growing up, so I learned of Santa early on.
Yeah.
If kids are listening, one, go away, and two,
One, get out.
But I learned early because I had to help my mom like bring out all the gifts early on.
That makes sense.
But
yeah.
I just heard her rustling around at like 3 a.m. and I was like, what's going on? Thought I was gonna catch Santa. I caught my mom
with the bag of presents, and it's like a garbage bag she took out of the closet.
What are you doing? She's like, shh, quiet.
Oh, I just remember like my earliest memory being like, oh, the presents, something, the presents. And a bunch of cousins were like, oh my God, Santa brought them. And one of my brothers just leans in and is like, they don't know, he's not real. And I was like, yeah. So I don't know when I knew that he wasn't real, but like, that's my earliest formed memory of being like, yeah, he's not real.
You were like, wait a second.
Yeah.
For me, it was my grandpa always dressed up as Santa, like to come like on Christmas Eve. And right before, like I was almost the age where I should learn that Santa is not real, but I hadn't quite learned yet. But I was getting really like suspicious about it. So like really, and I was the oldest out of like all my cousins, my brother and everything. Like I was the eldest. And so I got really suspicious and I was a little detective, I thought. And I was like, well, where's Grandpa?
Yeah.
Why does Santa sound like Grandpa? And all the parents had to be like, Amanda, quiet.
And you're like so proud of yourself too.
No,
you're like, oh.
Well, where is he? Why? I've never seen Grandpa and Santa in the same room.
It's like the same energy as when a kid watches Dora the Explorer. She's like, where is it? And they're like, it's there. It's there.
Exactly. So I think I had to be told after that because I was getting too loud with it.
Oh my God.
I think that must be so much fun to like lie to your kids, like in a fun way, you know, in a fun, like little silly, like we got them,
non-harmful ones. Yeah, it is something. I always tell this story to my chat. I again have a lot of cousins with a lot of kids, and their kids will always ask me questions, and usually I answer them like, I don't sugarcoat things. I just tell them how it is. I treat them almost like adults when I talk to them, you know. So they'll always come up to me and they'll be like, hey, can you, like, what is this, what is that? And one of them was like really little, and we were at someone's wake, you know, and they were like, what is something, like, why do you bury bodies? And I look at my brother and he looks at me, and we are terrible. We both give each other this look, and we concoct this story because this kid was like 3. He was like very little. So we weren't going to tell him like the truth or anything. That's for later, you know? So we tell him that, well, you know how the earth has layers? He was like, yeah. And we were like, how do you think the outer layer stays up? We have to bury people, and their skeletons hold up. They stand like this with their arms up, and they hold up the crust so that you can walk on it. That's why there's sinkholes sometimes. And that's why we have to constantly be burying more. And he was like, that makes so much sense. He was like, oh, okay.
How did you think of that?
I think me and my brother we would just each say like one more sentence, and then the next person would say another sentence, and we just crafted this like awful story.
You wrote the plot of Attack on Titan.
Yeah, exactly. It was so funny. This kid was like, okay, and then he just accepted that, and he forgot because he was 3, and 3-year-olds forget everything. It was
The way
great.
that would have like stayed with me until I was 30. Like the way I would have remembered that forever. I would have just been thinking about stepping on like corpse hands every time I walked the earth.
Skeleton hands.
Yeah, skeleton hands like
You
holding
raise me up as you're walking.
Exactly.
I remember him sometime later, like vaguely remembering, but he didn't remember specifics. He's like, didn't you tell me something about like why like we bury? And we were like, oh yeah. And then we told him like the truth.
Oh, that's when you gas up and you're like, no.
What I said that I wouldn't say that.
I don't know.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, that's the job of like elder cousins. You gotta be a little mean. You gotta bully them a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Especially, when you're one of the older ones and you're always babysitting the others, you need something to keep yourself sane, right?
Yeah.
And the only thing you can enjoy is tricking them because you feel like your time has been wasted. You're like, I'm watching all these kids, lamenting. Yeah.
I think you also see that your parents tricked you growing up and you're like, now it's my turn.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. I live for it. My parents didn't really try to trick me with anything because a couple of my grandparents were like very much like that. So on my mom's side, that grandpa would always, always, always be telling us stuff that was just so incredibly not true and like trying to trick us and whatever. He's a very smart man and like, we like wanted to believe him on everything. So he would just always do this. And then my parents would be like undoing all of it. So their full-time job was being like, no, there are not skeletons holding up the crust of the earth, and like explaining every little thing.
That's who I want to be. I want to be the cool aunt that everyone's like, don't listen to her. Don't.
Yeah.
That's not true.
Exactly. It just turned into very like a, oh, you kind of thing with him every time.
Yeah.
When I got older, every time my grandfather would say anything, I'd be like, can you cite a source? Can you tell me where? Point to this. Yeah. So funny.
Yeah, like the fun uncle. Exactly. That's the vibes I want.
Yeah. I heard someone the other day refer to that as a funkle, and I don't like it, but I want to share that because I want all of you to feel my pain because like they were like, someone in chat said something fun uncle, and someone else was like, yeah, I'm the funkle in my family. And I was like, what? I don't like it.
Uncle, it's like a fungus. It sounds like a bad term.
Yeah, it sounds like a disease or a fungus or like something you shouldn't eat, right?